My next guest knows exactly what it takes to secure this kind of perimeter and how to respond if something does go wrong. Here with us now is Donadio, former Secret Service agent assigned to the White House to protect Presidents Bush and Obama. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Let's talk about the security preparations that go into an event like this, the magnitude. And we know it is traditionally held at the Washington Hilton. So this is familiar territory. What happened here?
Yeah, Secret Service has home field advantage here because they're so used to having events here. So that was in their favor. The other thing that's in their favor is they have a lot of officers and agents for this event. So there's no shortage of law enforcement whatsoever. Watching the video, I think the Secret Service did exactly what they were trained to do. They did a superb job, whether it's right there on the stage with the president or even at the checkpoint. And we have to look at that video close. That man is running as fast as he possibly can to get through that checkpoint. And it's very similar to a checkpoint at an airport. And those agents responded perfectly within a second, and then they tackled him. So they really saved the president's life. Those officers right there did, as well as the officers and agents on the stage. Great job, Secret Service.
Absolutely. I echo that. We really have the best in the world, and the president said just that during the briefing. Barry, I want to ask you about the metal detectors outside the ballroom. Why were they there, just feet away from the ballroom, instead of, let's say, the hotel entrance? Why were they so close to the event?
Well, there's magnetometer entry points all over, and you see just in your picture there, that is an immense hotel. And by the way, for your viewers, that's also the same hotel where Reagan was shot at. So it's a lot of officers and agents manning many checkpoints. That checkpoint does not look familiar to me. I've worked there doing the same kind of an event. And I think that's more of like a tradesman entrance or an entrance just for the guests of the hotel. It doesn't seem to be right at the main entrance. So they were doing it, and that was just there to prevent guests to the hotel from coming in without getting checked. So there has to be a front gate to every event, whether it's a castle or the Olympics or an event like this. There has to be an outer gate, and that's what you're seeing. That's the outer gate, which happens to be inside one of the corridors of the hotel. And anything can happen at a checkpoint. That is literally, the world is outside of that checkpoint, and inside that checkpoint is where it's safe. And that's the purpose of the checkpoint, to stop that, what we saw in that video. So if you ask me, success. And they saved the president's life.
Absolutely, and there were over 2,000 people in that room. Barry, explain to me how difficult it is to keep that many people safe.
Sure. This would be like a medium event for the Secret Service. We have to remember that they secure, and they're in charge of securing the Super Bowl, the Olympics. So this would be kind of small compared to that. So nothing they do is easy, I can tell you that. But they already have the game plans set up. They've done this before. They know all the entries and exits very well. They know how to handle a situation like this. So everything was in the advantage of the Secret Service because of the location, and they're used to using it. So it turned out great. Based on their training and experiences, they did exactly what they were trained to do. And these guys train, these men and women train over and over and over for this exact same kind of a scenario, just like I did when I was in. You're actually taken off of the work schedule every month and rotated through training over and over and over, requalifying with all of your weapon systems. That could be up to 3 different weapons, too. So for me personally, I was on the emergency response team, a tactical team, very similar to what you saw on a stage, the men and women with the rifles. And they are repelling a tactical threat to the President of the United States. They are all experts in every weapon system. The minute they're not an expert and they can't qualify an expert, they're taken off that team. So the threshold is very high. All of these officers and agents are the 1% of 1% of people that are even trying to get in the Secret Service. So that's how specialized they all are.
Barry, and that's why I'm so excited that you came on this morning, because you have personal experience. You've protected 2 presidents in the past. What is going through the mind of Secret Service agents in moments like this, and even after, as they're processing what happened?
I can speak well on this. They are not afraid of anything. The only thing they're afraid of is failure. And that's all they keep themselves up at night for, just thinking, what can I do to be better? This agency is always changing, making itself better literally by the week. There'll be a massive look into an investigation on what they could do better after this. Maybe it's even put up barriers and fences within the hotel to prevent somebody even running through. Maybe that's an answer. But certainly, they are going to make changes that are going to increase and enhance the security of the president and the event moving forward.
This isn't the first assassination attempt against our president. How difficult is it to keep him safe and protected?
I'd say it's like carrying an egg everywhere you go forever and without letting that egg crack, right? So just think of how fragile a president can be. Not one hair on his head can be harmed and not one incident can happen. Otherwise, it's a national failure, not just a Secret Service failure. So there is a tremendous amount of pressure on the Secret Service itself to do its job, keep the president safe, the first family, foreign dignitaries, the vice president, and you've seen it. And then even up on your screen, I see something that we never had when I was on. Military police were there too. So that's another added caveat to the security that they have now today, which we didn't have in our time when we were doing these events.
I really appreciate you, again, waking up with us, sharing your expertise over something that many, many Americans are waking up to this morning, really the world. Barry Donadio, thank you so much.